Okay. Show me.
Hi there, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the DutchRC channel. Thank you very much for tuning in again. And in this video I have a fun little quadcopter for you. And I'll do an initial review in this video of the Walkera Rodeo 110. It is a small brushless FPV quadcopter. Now, if I say a fun little quadcopter, it's not that I'm trying to sell it to you, but I'm glad I got me this one. It was exactly what I was looking for, a smaller sized FPV quadcopter. And let's see, in this video I'll show you what's in this box. What comes with this quadcopter and give you my thoughts on it, and we'll also do an initial test flight with it. And let's see, yeah, that's it. Oh, by the way, the box has a nice carrying handle, and I actually use this box as a transport and storage device for the quadcopter, as it fits in the box with the props on. Quite convenient to protect the quadcopter. So let's have a look what's in this box. Okay, let's have a look at what comes with this quadcopter first. A quick start guide, which is exactly what you'd think. A guide which leads you through the process of getting your quadcopter started. And it's in proper English and looks pretty good. It's not completely complete. One of the buttons isn't described well, but I'll describe it for you in this video. Okay, so manual is pretty good. Then there's this CD, which actually has a manual for the radio, and obviously this only comes with the ready-to-fly version. There's also a bind and fly version. So yeah, the ready-to-fly version comes with a manual for the radio, which we'll have a look at in a second. Okay, the quadcopter comes with a charging adapter block thing, and as you can see, a US adapter. So if you order it in any other country, you might want to ask for a adapter for it. By the way, I got mine from Banggood, and like I mentioned before, the quad is available as a bind and fly and as a ready to fly. And just have a look at the link in the description for the availability and the pricing of those both versions. The quad also comes with a USB cable for to change settings in clean flight or beta flight, and to update the firmware if you'd want that. And the quadcopter comes with a full set of spare propellers, which is nice. We'll have a closer look at the propellers themselves on the quadcopter in a second. But yeah, it's nice to get a full set of spare propellers, of course. Okay, I do have the ready-to-fly version, and that comes with this Devo 7 transmitter. Now, obviously, if you already have a Devo transmitter, you can opt for the bind and fly version of the Rodeo 110, and or any other kind of radio that does the protocol this transmitter does. Okay, so it comes with this battery block with a GST connector for 8 AA's, and as you can see, I'm not using that. I simply have a 3S Lipo in my transmitter. It also comes with a training cable, which is nice if you have a friend that also has a Devo transmitter. You can train that other person, so you can have him or her fly and take over control if things go haywire. So that's nice. As for the transmitter itself, for an arid RTF flyer, this is quite a nice radio, I think. Far better than most RTF radios, I think. I don't really like the menu system, but that's mainly because I'm not familiar with it. But yeah, the sticks feel pretty okay. Several $100 radio will probably feel better, but again, for a ready-to-fly radio, this is pretty good. It has a screen and some buttons to navigate through the menu, digital trims, and obviously sticks, a lanyard, hook over here. It has a trainer port switch over here, I think, this one. And this is a 2-position switch, a turn dial, 3-position switch. I've got my modes set up on this switch. 2-position switch and another 3-position switch over here. And it doesn't have sliders. That's mostly it. Over here is the trainer port. And yeah, that's the radio. Again, a pretty nice radio for an RTF flyer. And finally, here is the star of our show, the Rodeo 110 from Walkera. A fairly small, obviously, brushless FPV quadcopter. Now, this is the second quadcopter I have from Walkera. I also reviewed the Rodeo 150, slightly bigger of course, well bigger, slightly less small, and I really liked that quadcopter. It wasn't perfect, no quadcopter really is perfect. This one has its drawbacks as well, but the main drawbacks of the 150 were it has a very nice design, but that led to some compromises, mainly the battery placement and the options you had for batteries. As you can see on this Rodeo 110, they got with a slightly more conventional design. The battery just sits on top, and that, yeah, you can't obviously put a huge battery on it, but you are a bit more flexible in your battery choice. Actually, you could potentially opt to mount the battery on the bottom, but you'd have to have a battery with a fairly long battery lead, because that GST connector slots in at the back on top over here. And that's a neat feature of this quadcopter, a GST connector. So far more common than the EC3 connector that came with the 150, or that the 150 utilized. Another drawback of the 150 was that it's all plastic design. Mine didn't break, even though I crashed it quite a few times. But this 110 has a carbon bottom plate. And I have crashed this one a few times as well. Yeah, as you can see, it's still doing just fine. That's not to say that it's unbreakable, of course. It is a thin frame, 2 millimeters approximately. Well, maybe, yeah, 2 millimeters. There is one little, well, design flaw, I'm not sure. Let me zoom in on that a little. Here near the end of the arm, you see a little screw. So that means there's a little hole in the arm, and that is a bit of a weak spot in the arm. Lucky for us, it's not at the beginning of the arm, that hole. That would mean be a bigger problem. But yeah, this screw holds the ESC on that arm on, or in place. And I'll show you why that is. See, the ESCs have a connector on the side of the body over here. So they are not soldered on. That makes it very easy to replace them. And on this side over here, on the motor side, you see that screw that holds the ESC in place. So yeah, they can't have the ESC flopping around, because it would lose contact with that connector. Yeah, so bit of a weak spot on the arm, but again, well, mine is still doing fine, but yeah, it's not an indestructible quadcopter, obviously. Okay, at the front of the quadcopter you see a FPV camera, a CMOS camera, 600 TVL I think. It's not the greatest camera, but if you have a good screen in your goggle, it is more than flyable. If you are not happy with this FPV camera, you can opt to replace the lens. That does help the camera out. I will try to refocus this lens. It is a little bit fuzzy, but again, I can fly with it this way. And it is tiltable. You can move it up and down. Pretty good angle you can achieve that way. At the front you also have a LED, a headlight, which is very, very nice. That really helps me out in line of sight flights. So I am very happy with that. Actually, let me switch it on. You first have to connect the Lipo of the quad and then switch on your radio. There you go. We are now bound, and as you can see, pretty high intensity LED. Even in daylight it is very well visible, so I'm happy with that. Okay, and at the rear of the quadcopter you see 3 antennae. These 2 outer ones are the 2.4, so for control. And the middle one is the 5.8 gigahertz antenna. And that is actually replaceable. That's nice. It has a little connector up inside of the quadcopter, so if you damage this antenna, or if you want to replace it with a cloverleaf antenna, you can. Obviously the benefit of this dipole antenna is that it's less prone to damage. In flying in the woods, for instance, proximity flying, yeah, it won't have the penetration of a cloverleaf antenna. In open fields, this will work out just fine, I think. Okay, so what more can I tell you? Yeah, 3-inch 3-bladed propellers. They look as if they are just pressed on, but they are held on with 2 little screws. And they are not completely proprietary. That's nice. You can opt to use other propellers for this quadcopter. On this side I haven't tried it yet, but there's a little reset button. I'm not sure, and I'm not gonna try. So sorry. On the other side you see a status LED. And does that do anything if you change the flight mode? No. You only hear it beep. And the quadcopter actually has a beeper in it. That's very nice. Very nice. It will let you know if the voltage is too low. And obviously you can program it in clean flight to beep at your command if you've lost the quadcopter, for instance. And over here there is a USB socket, micro USB. So you can change the settings in clean flight. Actually, this quadcopter does have a beta flight firmware, but it is a proprietary, a self-made fork of Walkera. Now, I'm sure they had their reasons for that. That also has a drawback though. You can't, for instance, use air mode in this quadcopter. Now, it does fly great out of the box with that firmware, so there's no real reason to update the firmware. I have beta flight 3.1.5 on it at this moment, and I'll do a separate video on how to do that. That might not be interesting to most of you, so I won't include it in this video. But in the coming days I'll have a video on how to flash this quadcopter and how to set it up with a Betaflight 3.1.5 firmware. And there are other videos on that. The ones I came across weren't complete. They don't tell you everything you need to know. So again, I'll do a video on that. Okay. So that is the quadcopter. Oh yeah, it has a 40-channel 5.8 gigahertz video transmitter. And let me get the battery off so I can show you its settings. Okay, underneath the battery strap you got this little block with 3 dip switches for your channel selection for the 5.8 gigahertz transmitter. and some LEDs showing you the options you've chosen. There's also this button over here, and that is not mentioned in the manual at all, at least not in my manual. And with that button you can change the output level of the 5.8 GHz transmitter from low to high power. I'm actually not even completely sure what high power means, because there are different versions for different markets. I'm pretty sure mine has a 200 milliwatt high output setting. And what you do is you, when the quadcopter is switched on, you hold on to this button for 30 seconds. What? Yeah, 30 seconds. It is what it is. So you hold on to this button for 30 seconds and then it switches into high power. Not only that, once it is in high power, you can double tap this switch to change the band. And there is no other way to change the band. Yeah, it is what it is, but that works out just fine by me. Okay, and one last thing. This is the battery that comes with the quadcopter. It is a 2S Lipo, of course, 850 milliampere with a GST connector and a normal style of balance connector. Yay, great. Okay, and with this battery you get flight times of around 5 to 6 minutes. Yeah, depends on how you fly, of course. The way I fly the quadcopter, most times I don't get to 5 minutes. But yeah, if you take it easy, you can get to 5-6 minutes. Okay, enough blah blah. Let's go out to the field and show you my initial flight with this quadcopter. Okay, as you can probably tell, it does fly, which is nice. I just flew my racing quadcopter before this, and then it is a pretty docile quadcopter, this Walkera, which was to be expected. All rates are very dim. Yes, I'll definitely have to increase the rates. I think you'll be able to see that if I do a flip. Let's bring it in a little closer. See, the flips are a bit slowish. Not snappy like, not snail-like slow. It doesn't lose a lot of altitude, by the way, in a flip. Quite nice. But yeah, I'll have to increase the rates. Pretty okay actually. I mean, it's this quad is probably geared towards beginners. And more advanced pilots will be able to increase the rates, no problem. I'll do another flight in the near future with it, with the rates dialed up. The tune looks pretty okay, but that usually looks pretty okay in line of sight. We'll see what that looks like in FPV. But it flies. Very easy to fly this quad. Not a handful at all. Yeah, this is a nice beginner FPV quad from the looks of it. No bad tendencies at all. And even in daylight, that headlamp sure does help. I'm not sure if you can actually see it in video like this. For me, it's definitely an 8 in the line of sight flying. Yeah, slowish in every way. Oh, let's do a punch out. Let's bring it in a little closer and see what the punch looks and sounds like. Here we go. It doesn't oscillate. It's not overly powerful, this quad at all, but pretty okay. Alright, so I'll have to do a little rate tuning and then we'll take it out for an FPV flight. For now, thank you very much for watching, of course, and hope to see you back in another video. Bye bye.
Oh ja, dat ken ik. Dan zag je dat water zwart werd en dan was het meestal goed.